Hello and welcome to class. Today you will learn to make the chevron baby dress for a 3 to 6 months old. For decoration, I added a 4-layered flower to beautify the front of the dress. It also has a button closure at the back where I used 3 pearl buttons. The edgings made with scalloped stitch to add elegance to the dress, and then an adjustable waistband with ribbon as the drawstring. This is totally optional though. This dress pattern is very simple, easy and classy, and it is ideal for any special occasion including christenings and birthdays. For measurements, we'll be needing the chest circumference, but here we'll be using half of that, which is 9.5 inches for a 3 to 6 months old baby, and then also the shoulder to waist measurement, which is about 8 inches. Some babies could go up to 9 inches for that, and then also the shoulder to knee or any length that you desire for the dress. Also, let's not forget the armhole depth. It's very important, so we'll need that one as well. So those are the major measurements that we'll be needing to make this beautiful dress. And so here I have a few of the color variations that I have made, and I hope it inspires your creativity. Now let's get into the materials needed. Let's begin with the slip knot. We're going to chain 89 plus 2. So that's a total of 91. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have my 91 foundation chains here. So now double crochet into the third chain from the hook. And then put 1 double crochet into the next 10 chains. So that will be 11 double crochet stitches. So now you're going to work 2 double crochet into the next stitch. And now for the first corner, you're going to skip 2 chains and then place 2 double crochet into the next stitch, then a chain 2 and another 2 double crochet all into the same stitch. Now, just so that you don't get confused later on, take your stitch marker and then you see this 2 where you made the 2 double crochet into the same stitch before the corner, mark the second stitch, because in the next round you're going to be working an increase into that stitch. Now skip 2 chains and then into the next chain stitch work 2 double crochet all into the same place, and then now you're going to make 1 double crochet into 11 chain stitches. So 3, 11. Now after having your 11 double crochets into the next stitch is going to be an increase, so 2 double crochet into the same stitch and then you skip 2 chains and then work the second corner. So for the corner we're making 2 double crochet, a chain 2 and 2 double crochet. So now you bring another stitch marker. You see the first corner that we did, you see these 2 double crochet, you're going to put the marker into the first one like so. Okay, and then you can do the same thing for this corner as well. So every corner you can put a stitch marker. It's totally optional, just so that I can be able to help you know exactly where we'll be putting our stitches in the next round. That is why I am bringing in the stitch markers. Okay, so now after making the second corner, you're going to skip 2 chains, and then into the next one, like we've been doing, you're going to place 2 double crochet into that stitch, and then you can immediately mark the first double crochet stitch, like so. All right, so now place 1 double crochet into the next 17 chains. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and now 17. And then into the next chain, you're going to make an increase, that is 2 double crochet into the same stitch. Then you'll skip 2 chains and then work the third corner. 2 double crochets, a chain 2, and 2 double crochet. So you can go ahead and mark these increase stitch. Okay, now skip 2 chains and then increase into the next chain, so 2 double crochet, and then you can mark the first double crochet as well. Now we're going to repeat for this shoulder over here, so we're going to make 11 double crochet, so 1, 2, 3. All right, so I've got all 11 double crochets done. Now into the next one, you're going to work the increase, so 2 double crochets into the next chain, and then skip 2 chains. Now work the fourth and the last corner, so 2 double crochet, a chain 2, and 2 double crochet. And so like we've been doing, you can mark the second increase stitch. So you'd realize that where we mark, we always have 2 stitches left before the chain space, right? Okay, so take notice of that. Now skip 2 chains and then work our last increase into the next chain stitch, so 2 double crochet, and then you can go ahead and mark this double crochet. Okay, so now you work the remaining double crochet, but when you get to the last 3 stitches, you stop. Okay, so I've got 3 stitches remaining. Now you're going to chain 1, and then you skip 1 chain and then work a double crochet into the next, and then the last double crochet into the next one. We just made a buttonhole, and then when you count the stitches, I'm not talking about the increase stitch, the 1 double crochet each. If you count them, there will be exactly 11 plus the chain space for the button. So when you count this side as well, you should have 11 stitches over there too. So now for row 2, let's chain 2. It doesn't count as a stitch. Turn, and then work 1 double crochet into the same stitch, then 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then you work 1 double crochet into that chain space. Okay, and then you keep working 1 double crochet until you get to where the first stitch marker is. So now when you get to where the stitch marker is, you can take it out, and then into that very stitch you're going to work an increase, that is 2 double crochet, and then you're going to go right into the chain 2 space for the first corner. So 2 double crochet, a chain 2, and 2 double crochet. Okay, so after making the corner, we'll skip these 2 stitches right here, and then into this stitch where the stitch marker is, we're going to work another increase. So from this point, you're going to work 1 double crochet into each of the stitches until you get to where the stitch marker is. Work an increase, and then you go straight into the corner for another corner. So that is all we're going to be doing, how we're going to be working this the second row. So you can already see so you can already see the neckline and then the yoke forming. It doesn't look like much right now, but let's continue and then our project will grow. So I'm taking my stitch marker out so I can work my increase into that next stitch. By now, you know when I talk about increase, I'm telling you to double crochet 2 times into the same stitch, right? Okay, now go into the next stitch, which is a chain space for your corner. So these corners are what are helping to increase our project and to extend the armhole for our overall measurements. So now you're going to go into the next stitch where the marker is and work the increase. I think by now you get the drift. That's why I asked you to mark those stitches. Now work all the way to the end, and then I'll meet you once you're done with this row. So now I'm at the end of this row. You're going to chain 2 for the next one, so turn, and now we're going to repeat the same pattern that we've been working. At this point, I'm not going to be using the stitch markers again because I don't need them, but for you, if you think you would get confused, then immediately you work your increase stitch, you mark it. Okay, so I'm not going to be using the stitch marker from here on out. Now just make 1 double crochet into all the stitches until you get to the last stitch before the corner stitch, and then you work the increase into that stitch. Okay, so keep going with 1 double crochet. Like I was saying, keep going with 1 double crochet in every stitch until you get to the second stitch of the previous increase, if that makes sense. So you don't get confused, I'm saying it again. Mark all the increase stitches, okay? So you don't get confused if it looks confusing to you. So now I'm at the last stitch for that increase in the previous row. If I turn my work this way, you can see it, right? Okay, so now I'm going to increase into that stitch, and then go into the chain 2 space for the corner. and then you go into the next increase stitch from the previous row, and then work an increase into that first stitch. So you're skipping these 2 stitches in between. All right. Okay, so this is what I have. You're going to keep working just in the same manner we've been working, increasing your yoke. So you keep going until you have 5 rows, and then in the next row where we'll be working the buttonhole, I'll come and work that with you, and then we'll continue working the yoke off camera. I'm at row 7 right now. So okay, so the first row is a buttonhole row. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, and this row now is row 7, where we're going to be working the buttonhole. And then you chain 1, and then you skip 1 stitch, and then you work 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches, and that is your second buttonhole. Now chain 2 and turn, and then just like we've been working the pattern, keep working until when you take a measurement. For me, that is going to be 9 rows before I get my armhole measurements, which is 3.5. So I'll meet you once I'm done with my 9th row, and then we'll connect the sleeves together. Alright, so I am done with the 9 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now I've started on the 10th row, which is going to be where we connect the sleeves together. So for this, you're not going to work any increase here. You're just going to put 1 double crochet into that stitch, because we are about to enter into the corner, and then you put 1 double crochet into these 2 stitches before the chain 2 space, like so. Okay, so no increases, and then you go into the chain 2 space with 2 double crochet, like so, and then you chain 15, 2. So I've got 1, 2 here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Right, so you skip all of these stitches, and then you connect to the other chain 2 space with 2 double crochet. Remember that we are no longer working any increase, so you're going to put 1 double crochet into each and every stitch across the chest area. Right, so keep going until you get here, and then we'll connect the second sleeves together. Okay, so I am in the next corner. So count all these stitches. If it's 45, then you are on track. Now with my 2 double crochet in this corner, I'm going to chain 15. Okay, so now let's connect the other sleeve. So now put 2 double crochet into the next chain 2 space, and then 1 double crochet into each of the stitches until you get to the end of the row. Right, so we're going to be working the body of the yoke. So we're working, like I said, shoulder to waist, and so we'll keep going, but do not forget that as we're going, we are also creating buttonholes, and we'll be needing 3 buttonholes in total. We already have 2. The number of rows between each buttons are 5, and now we only have 3. So that means you're going to make 2 more rows before the next buttonhole, and then after the buttonhole, make 2 more rows, and then I'll meet you on the next row. You can pause here and then do your work and then come back and let's finish with the yoke, and then we'll start the body of the dress. Now I am on row 13, which happens to be the row for the buttonhole. So I have about 4 stitches remaining. So now let's create that buttonhole. And so we're going to double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, and then finish with double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So this is our third and final buttonhole. So just chain 2 and turn and continue placing 1 double crochet in every stitch across until you get to this point, and then chain 2, turn, and then just keep on going. So I'll see you when I have about 5 rows from the armpit area. So right now we have 3. I'm going to do 2 more to get to 5, and then I'll see if it's okay for us to connect the back. Okay, so I made 6 rows in total from the armpits area. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so on this row, I'm going to be attaching the panels together. Make sure that the buttonhole is overlapping this other side. And then you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to slip stitch in the next stitch. So let me take this out. So this is how you're going to slip stitch. You're just going to insert your hook into that stitch like so, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. Now you're going to chain 2 and turn. Okay, so now we're going to crochet the 2 panels together. So the very first, not the one the chain 2 is coming out from. If you like, you can take a marker and then mark this one where the chain 2 is coming out from, because you're going to be working a stitch into that place. Now yarn over and insert your hook into this stitch. When you count, you realize that there are 5 stitches. So we're going to work 5 stitches together from this panel and the back panel. So insert your hook into that first double crochet, and then make sure you are grabbing the first double crochet from the other side, and then yarn over, pull through both of them, and then make a double crochet stitch. Now you're going to do that for the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. So this is the last double crochet for this side. So make sure you're grabbing the double crochet from the other side. So you can see we have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so this is what the inside looks like. Okay. And so you'll be fixing your buttons here, and then you see. Now you can continue working 1 double crochet into each of the stitches until you get to where the marker is, and place 1 double crochet into that stitch as well. Then you slip stitch to the beginning double crochet, not in the chain 2 space, but in the double crochet stitch. Okay, so now I'm at the end of the round, so I'm taking the marker out and then placing 1 double crochet into that stitch. At this point, if you should give this a count, you would have 120 stitches all around. Now we're going to work front post double crochet, back post double crochet, but we're making, so you just have to so you chain one and then you go right into the double crochet and then you work a front post double crochet. So this is just how I do the front post. Insert the hook from the front to the back and then right out from the side of the stitch like so. So you're popping the stitch up and then yarn over, pull through, and then you just work your double crochet. If you've never done this stitch before, you need to practice, because I know it can be frustrating for first timers, but you need to practice so that you can be able to do it right. And then, okay, so for the second one, we're doing the same thing, front post double crochet. So we're doing 2 front posts, 2 back posts. And so now we're going into the back, so like so, like so. So 2 times, and then the front 2 times. So we'll be alternating between 2 front post double crochet and then 2 back posts double crochet, 2 front post double crochet, 2 back posts double crochet. We'll do that all the way around. So continue, and then I'll meet you once we get to your last. So your last 2 should be a back post. If they are not, then you don't have the correct stitch count. So I'll meet you once you are done with this round. Okay, so we are finishing this round with 2 back post double crochet. And then you can slip stitch to the first front post double crochet. Now you chain 1, and then we'll repeat the same thing. This time, every front post, we'll do a front post there, and then in every back post, we'll do a back post there as well. So we're going to do this for 3 or 4 more rows. Just make sure that when you take the measurements of the shoulder to waist, you have 7 inches in length. Okay, let's finish this round with same back post double crochet. Now slip stitch to the beginning double crochet. I went ahead and made 4 rows of the front post and back post double crochet. And let me quickly show you how to count the rows. So this is the first, and this is the second, third, and then fourth. Okay, so this is how you count and know how many rows you have, or you can count from here. So you see these stitches here, you can count from here as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you know that those are 4 rows that you have completed. Now I'm taking measurements to be sure everything is okay. So yeah, we have the correct measurements, because for 3 to 6 months, the chest measurement is 19 inches and half of that is 9.5. And then the shoulder to waist measurement is 7. And I have a little over 7, but that's okay. Now let's go into the next phase of this dress. We're going to be working in the front loops only, and then we're going to be increasing stitches from the 120 we have. We're going to be increasing by 24, so we'll end up having 144 stitches. So chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch. You're going to be working into the front loop. Okay, this is the front loop and this is the back loop. Be working in the front loops only. So chain 2 and then place 1 double crochet into that same stitch. We're going to be increasing in every 5th stitch. So this is the 2nd double crochet, 3rd, 4th. Now increase in the 5th one. So place 2 double crochet into the same stitch. And then we'll go again 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you increase in the 5th one. 1, 2, 3, 4. You increase in the 5th one. So do that for all the stitches around. Alright, so now slip stitch to the beginning and let's begin the chevron stitch. But for now, what we're going to do is a chain 3. This is our first double crochet. Now place another double crochet into that stitch. So that is just going to be half of the shell. Now skip 3 stitches and into the 4th one make a shell stitch. 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. So you're going to be making these into every 4th stitch. 1, 2, 3. So you skip the 3 and then into the 4th one you make the shell stitch, which is 2 double crochet, chain 2 and 2 double crochet. I'm almost done with this row. So you remember the very first 2 double crochet that we made? I told you this was half of the shell, like half of this. Now we're going to complete that half and then we're going to work something differently. So just yarn over and then you're skipping the remaining 3 stitches, then go into that same stitch and then finish with 2 double crochets. Remember that we are always chaining 2 in between, right? But we're going to be working a substitute stitch, and so yarn over, insert your hook into the top of the chain 3, yarn over, pull through. You've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. So this is a half double crochet you've done, but it's going to serve as the substitute for the chain 2 space. Do you get? Now chain 3 and then make 1 double crochet into the same stitch. So this enables us to remain in a straight line going forward. And so now we've just made half of the shell again. Now you're going to skip all the stitches, go into the chain 2 space and repeat the shell. So for this row, you're repeating shell on top of each shell. That's what we're doing for this row. Now let's finish the other half of the shell and then we'll begin the chevron properly. So like we did before, you're going to work a substitute for the chain 2. So into the 3rd chain, you make a half double crochet like so. Now chain 3 and double crochet into the same stitch. Now you're going to double crochet into the next stitch. So we're beginning to fan out the shells for that chevron effect. Okay, so you're going to skip the last stitch from here and then the first stitch from here. So you're skipping 2 in between, and then you go to the next stitch, work a double crochet, and then work 2 double crochet into the chain 2 space, chain 2, repeat the 2 double crochet, and then 1 double crochet into the next double crochet. Then you skip these 2 in between, and then you double crochet into the next, and then a chain, and then you shell into the chain 2, and then you double crochet into the next stitch. So this is all we're going to be doing for the entire round. Okay, so we're skipping this, skip this, double crochet into the next one, and then work the remaining half of the shell, and then make the substitute stitch. Now chain 3 counts as a double crochet in this pattern. Now make 1 more double crochet into that space, and then make 1 double crochet into the next stitch, make 1 more double crochet into the next one. So the previous row we only have 3 double crochets, right? But in this row we're going to be getting 4, so we increase in every row. So you skip these 2, and then you double crochet into the next 2 double crochet stitches, and then you shell on top of the shell. So you see you have 4 stitches now. Chain 2, repeat the 2 double crochet to the same space. Let me show you something. So you see sometimes the first stitch in the previous row, the shell of the previous row, it tends to hide when we do a shell on top of the shell. So sometimes you need to pull your stitches away so that you can be able to locate that stitch and place your double crochet in it. If you don't do that, you may not get the correct stitch count, and it will affect the outcome of your work. Now skip these 2 stitches in between and make 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches, and then shell into the next chain 2 space. So keep working the pattern in the same manner until we get back here. Now we'll skip this 2 and then work 1 double crochet into the next 2 double crochet stitches, and then we'll complete half of the shell we began the round with. Now work that substitute, chain 2 stitch, chain 3, and double crochet into the same stitch, then double crochet into the top of the chain 3 where you did the slip stitch. That's 1. Double crochet into the next, that's 2. Double crochet into the next, that's 3. So we've increased from 4 stitches to 5. We're going to do this until we have 6 stitches. So that means you're going to work this round and then the next one. Then I'll meet you after you have the 6 stitches for us to continue. So I'll show you how you maintain the 6 stitches. But if you want to keep increasing for your chevron to be wider, then you just follow the same pattern and then you'll get a wider chevron. So now I have 6 stitches in each chevron. So now I want to maintain this number of stitches. So right now I don't want to do a chain 3 anymore. I'm just going to do a chain 2 and a double crochet into that same stitch. So the chain 2 will not count as a stitch. And then you can go into the next stitch with 1 double crochet. So we're no longer putting 2 double crochet into the same chain spaces, because I want to stop increasing the stitches. So it will just be 1 stitch, chain 2, 1 stitch. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you skip the 2 stitches in between and continue with 1 double crochet into each of the stitches. Okay, so now you just place 1 double crochet into the space, chain 2 and 1 double crochet. That is how we maintain the stitch count to remain at 6. But if you want to keep increasing the chevrons, you can go ahead and do 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. So that would be increasing the stitches for you. Pay closer attention when you are working this pattern, because at some point you may forget yourself and do 2 double crochet into this side of the pattern, and that will disrupt your stitch count. So you need to pay closer attention. It has happened to me a couple of times, so I know that it can happen to even the most careful person. So just be extra careful. So you keep repeating this pattern like this until your dress is the length you'd like it to be. I will be changing color once mine measures 15 inches. That is from the shoulder to the length of the dress. Okay, so I am at the point where I want to introduce a new color. So this is the last double crochet, and then what I do is to yarn over, insert the hook into the double crochet, and then make that substitute stitch. And then I'm going to drop this because I will not carry this yarn along, but I'm going to show you how I do it so that I don't have to be cutting the yarn and rejoining. So now attach your new color. So first of all, what I do is to make the slip knots and then pass it through the white yarn and chain to lock it in. Then I pull this white down and then I chain another one, and then I just go into the space and create my double crochet stitch. Okay, like so. And you see this white yarn, still pull it and then leave it. So what the next thing I do is to go into the normal double crochet and also make sure that I'm making a double crochet over the main color just once, and then you leave it aside. And so now you can just work over the tail of the new color you added so that you can lock it in place. So we're just doing what we've been doing before. You're going to leave 2 stitches in the middle, one from this part of the chevron and then one from this part of the chevron. At this point, I'm going to cut this tail because I don't want it hanging in between here. And so now I'm going to skip my 2 stitches and then just go and continue making the chevron like we've been doing all this while. And so keep going until you are through with this color. When we get here, I'm going to show you how I pick up this main color. Okay, so I am at the end of this row now. So just go with yarn over, and then like you've been doing for the substitute, insert your hook into the first double crochet. But when you do that, you see the main color, that's the white that we left, bring it over your hook like so, and then yarn over and pull through, and then work your substitutes. So what we've done is to bring the yarn from that position to the height that we are on now, and then you can drop the pink or whatever color you decide to use, and then you can pick up the white and just chain 2. So when you do it, will look like this. Now pull the pink or the the other color you just finished, pull it, and then it brings it down like this. Now make 1 double crochet into that same place. To lock this in, you make sure that you are crocheting over this in the next stitch, and then you can drop it and continue with the white. Alright, so pay attention. I'm at the end of this round. So like we did before, we're going to insert our hook into the first double crochet like so, and then bring the yarn you dropped, bring it over the hook, and then yarn over, pull through so that it can come to the height that we are on now, and then make your substitute stitch. Then drop that yarn and pick up the pink yarn again, or whichever color you used, chain 2 and pull the white so that it can sit perfectly, and then continue with your double crochet into the same stitch, and then double crochet into the next stitch, but make sure you are locking this white in, and then you can drop it and just continue crocheting. So I'm going to be doing 3 rows of this accent color. So after this, there'll be another row of white, and then there'll be another row of pink, and that pink is going to end everything. So I'll see you once I'm on the very, very last row, and then we'll finish off, and then I'll show you how I trim my edges. Okay? All right. To finish this round, you're just going to place the very last double crochet, and instead of working that substitute stitch, you're going to chain 2 and slip stitch to the first double crochet. And then you can also slip stitch into the next stitch just to be extra sure. And you can cut your yarn and then weave in the ends. Now I'm going to show you how to beautify the edges of your dress and also to work a professionally looking neckline. We're not going to leave it like this. We're going to trim it nicely. So reattach your yarn into this part of your dress. You see the last row, that very first stitch, that is where you're going to be working. So you're going to reattach your yarn into this stitch, and we're going to be working into the very last stitches on the rows. Okay, so I'm going to reattach my yarn with a slip knot. And then I'm going to chain 2 more and work 2 double crochet into the same place, like so. Then I'm going to skip this row, then I'm going to slip stitch into this next one. So slip stitch. Wait, let me carry my yarn along. So skip this and slip stitch into the next one, and then work 3 chains and 2 double crochet into the same place. Then you skip this and then slip stitch into the next one. So chain 3 and 2 double crochet into the same place. Then you skip this next row and then you slip stitch into the next one. So chain 3 and 2 double crochet into the same place, and you slip stitch into the beginning, that is the first double crochet. Alright, so there you have it. And then to move on to the neckline area, you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to put 1 single crochet into that same stitch, and then single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the chain space where the first buttonhole is, and then you're going to single crochet into all the stitches around the neckline. But this is what I do to make the neckline a little bit smaller. You know, children, especially babies, they don't need a wide neckline because we need to protect their chest from cold. So what I do to decrease the neckline is to just put 1 single crochet into that chain 2 space, and then 1 single crochet into that corner space, and then 1 single crochet into the next chain 2 space, and just keep putting 1 single crochet into the remaining stitches. When I get to this corner, I'll do the same thing. So 1 stitch remaining. We're at the back side now, so into that very last stitch you're going to be placing 3 single crochet in there. That lets us curve to the other side because we're going to be working into these rows now. The very last stitch on every row, that's where we're going to be placing our stitches. just to trim that side nicely. So put 2 single crochet into that very last stitch on each row. That's all we're going to be doing, 2 single crochet into each of the last stitches on every row. Okay, so you're going to do that until you get to the very last one right here, and then you're going to chain 1 and then leave a very long tail and then cut your yarn. That long tail is what you're going to be using to fix the buttons onto the dress. I hope that you've had fun making this chevron baby dress, and I would like to hear from you. I'd like to see your comments, what you think about the dress. Tag me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. My social media handles would be in the description box. And please, 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 I want to see what you make. Tag me so that I can repost your work, okay? Alright. Okay, so we are at the last stitch, chain 1 and leave a very long tail like I said, and cut your yarn. Then you can pull that out. And so the next thing that you're going to do is just to position the dress well and find where you'll be placing your button. Make sure that the armhole sides are aligning properly. And so where the button holes are, you mark that side because that's where you're going to be putting your button. And then you fix the button, and that's all about this dress.